Assalamu alaikum. Hello. Last time we visited the Ada refugee camp, the lost city of Sebastian, third oldest church in the world, and witnessing the arts of handmade tiles. Today, we'll continue our tour of Nablus, sample its delicious local treat, retrace the footstep of Jesus, see the origin of the tree of life, and ending our day at the Dead Sea. Anything I can do, you can do, all done safely, inexpensively, and easily. Part 3 of DIY Destinations Palestine, and you are invited. We are so fortunate to live in a small world with so many cultures, so much beauty, and so much diversity. The world waits for no one, and it's up to each of us to discover its magnificent destinations. Nablus is famous for its cassia soap and is only produced here.
Yes, you are welcome. You know that Nablus is famous in manufacturing soap from the virgin olive oil, and this place as a soap factory is aged more than 800 years, and this surely gives a very big meaning for the Palestinian people. Sometimes a very big income for the area from these kinds of industry.
What's making Arabic coffee special is the cardamom they put in. You can see like the cardamom seeds over here, which is giving more aromatic flavor. That's crushed cardamom already. Saudi Arabia.
How's it going?
Very good. Wow. After walking all day, I was hungry, and I mean it. So it was time to taste some of the local specialties. My favorite, the cheap street food.
Okay, so the arusa is pita bread stuffed with minced lamb meat mixed with tomatoes and some chilies. It's 2 shekels. It's super cheap.
So that's like 50 cents.
Like 50 cents. Fresh food.
Arusa mean in English wife, yeah?
Bride.
Right. So if I bring one of these home, I can tell my mom bring home a bride, right?
Yeah, you can. It's kind of spoiling at the restaurant.
After a long day, there's nothing better than hitting the Nablus ancient Turkish bathhouse, dating back to the 13th century. Wow.
They call it the groom's therapy.
Okay. They even have something called groom therapy, which I definitely need. It's very affordable at a cost of $10.
Is eating sweets for sure.
On the way back to our car, from the old city to Al Hussein Square, there's a route lined with shops selling a wide variety of famous Palestinian treats.
You put the candy inside. The other one is halawe or halva, some people are calling it. It's made out of sesame paste or tahine. The biggest, most important thing in Nablus is, and what's most famous about, is kunafa. A special kind of dough, and underneath that a thin layer of lamb white cheese topped with syrup sugar. But this shop most specialized is in ullars. It's this kind of crispy layers of dough as well as filled with cheese.
I ended my night by visiting the location high up on Mount Ebal. Sama Nablus has charming garden fountains, family meeting space, and a number of ancient caves. This is where you can find the best views of Nablus. It's an hour hike from the old city. Next day, I decided to visit St. George Monastery in Jericho to retrace the footsteps of Jesus to Jericho. To get here from any Palestinian cities, take a shared taxi to Jericho and ask the driver to let you off at the entrance to the St. George Monastery. Now there is traffic issues sometimes, and as you can see here, the problem is not cars, but with sheeps. Let's just hope this clear up soon. I decided to get off at one of the lookout points and capture some more beautiful landscape of this magnificent land. As you can see, over there in the green is Jerusalem, and over here is Judean desert, and this is actually Jordan Valley. So right now we are going to hike to Jericho, which is on the other side, through the monastery. So with that being said, let's get going.
In order to follow like Jesus' footsteps. And this monastery has been built here from old times. It started maybe with just a small chamber in the caves, in the cliffs, where monks used to come and like meditate.
This 16th century cliff-hanging complex is a rare structure in Palestine. It consists of an ancient chapel and gardens, and is currently inhabited by the Eastern Orthodox monks. The St. George Orthodox Monastery was built in 480 AD. The Persians destroyed it in 614 AD, and the monastery became more or less abandoned after the Persians swept through the valley. Apparently, the location was visited by Elijah when he was en route to Sinai Peninsula. His wife Anne was infertile, and he supposedly wept here when the angel announced him the news of Mary's conception. Oh my God. So I'm on my way to hike to Jericho on this called the Jesus Trail. This is the road that led to Jericho that Jesus took 2015 years ago. The only problem right now is, once again, we have congestion, traffic congestion. The problem is not humans or cars, but for these little creatures. The hike is about 2 hours. Make sure to bring sunscreen and comfortable hiking boots. Beware of rain in winter months. If it's raining or has rained in the previous 48 hours, the stream can overflow and the slippery path may prevent you from hiking. At the end of the trail, we arrived at Jericho. We waited for local guesthouse owner Ashley to show us a few hundred meters to visit the site of Palestinian heritage site, Harrah's Palace.
A couple of minutes, and then we continue our tour.
The King of the Jews is going to be born. So he issued an order to kill every Jewish baby. So this we have to always say every time we mention Herod. But Herod was also a great man of architecture. He loved architecture and he loved power. So he built palaces all over, including Herodium, where he's buried in Bethlehem. And there's another Herodium here in Jericho that is not accessible to the public. And this is the Herodus Palace. It's basically his winter palace. So the city wasn't actually there. The city center was here. So this was Jericho during Herod's time and before and after. And like many other palaces that were built in Roman times, there are aqueducts, there are Roman baths, there are markets, there are chambers and villas and rooms. The water channel coming this way, the aqueducts were probably filling these two reservoirs. Despite its value, its historical and archaeological value, Palestinians are not allowed to excavate it, to make diggings and archaeological research or preserve the site, which is really sad. And the reason this is so is because we are in Area C and Palestinians do not have direct authority over this piece of land, although we are still in Jericho and all the families and all the communities around us are Palestinians.
About 5 kilometers away from Jericho, there's an important Islamic archaeological site. This site can be easily be reached from Jericho's main square. Head straight up to Hashan's Palace Road for just over 2.5 kilometers.
And like the other places we've visited, this is another winter palace. And it was for Hisham, one of the royalties there. And it has a very, very special thing, that here is where the Muslims, for the very first time, because you know Muslims in Islamic religion, you're not supposed to draw faces or make statues of humans, because they want to, you know, get rid of all the blasphemies, and you know, they want people to have a direct relation with God without the need of a statue or a cross or whatever. However, when the Umayyads came here, they were fascinated by what the Byzantines were doing at the time in terms of art, graphical art, whether statues or mosaics, which led them to get out of this bubble and do the very first Islamic statues of kings and mosaics with living creatures. That the tree of life, as we know it, is the symbol with the two leopards and the two gazelles and the tree in the middle, was actually originated here.
Being a budget traveler, my plan was hike up the Mount of Temptation on foot. However, the owner of the Jericho cable car was tipped off that DIY Destinations was coming and that we were featuring Jericho. They insist I take a complimentary ride on their cable car.
The reason we're gonna visit the cable car today is, well, it's just the cable car. It means a lot to Palestinians. And first of all, they were smart enough to put it in the Guinness Book of Records for being the longest cable car under sea level, because you know Jericho is under sea level, right? 300 meters under sea level. Yeah. So the way they got to Guinness Book of Records was by putting this last part at the end of the sentence, under sea level, and this got them in the book. But the actual value for the community is that, other than being a big business that employs a lot of people, it's also a symbol, because Palestinians, many years under occupation, have never actually managed to have the state of mind to think about building these kind of structures. And luckily, a local family was entrepreneurial enough to see the potential for this and an importance, and the cable car in Jericho became like a big thing. When you say Jericho, you say Jericho cable car, you know?
The Mount of Temptation is said to be the hill where Jesus was tempted by the devil. Halfway up the mount is a Greek Orthodox monastery of Temptations. The earliest monastery was constructed by the Byzantine in the 6th century above the cave, traditionally said to be where Jesus spent 40 days and 40 nights fasting and meditating. In 1895, the monastery was constructed around the crude cave chapel that marks the stone where Jesus sat during his fastings.
يلا هنا مستناك هناك سلام باي.
One of the magnificent must-see places near Jericho is the Dead Sea. Only 10 kilometers away is a lookout point near the Israeli settlement of Mitbi Shalom, accessible by taxi. There's a private mineral beach inside the settlement, and despite being offered a free entrance fee, our program will not enter any paid establishments in the occupied Palestinian territory that are considered illegal in accordance to international law. We maintain a position that the money should go to the Palestinian people along with these land and natural resources when so many Palestinians are suffering from high unemployment, poverty, and lack of access to education and clean water. We will not willing to break our commitment to promoting responsible tourism. Israel and Palestine have both proclaimed Jerusalem as its capital, and given the special status, I created a separate episode featuring the best of what it has to offer. So, make sure to check out that episode too.